Now, terrific. So we talked about earlier some add-ons, and we saw some success with some add-ons, and Brent in his little presentation spoke about main mark, and the focus there was Phocas. Now, Phocas is a BI tool, reporting. You know, we're all frustrated, or have been over the years, with reporting, BI, real-time information, so we can make great decisions when it happens, and not only that, cut and dice it how you want to read it so you make the right decisions. So without further ado, we'll go to Craig Medlyn from Phocas, and he's going to show us exactly what we're talking about here.
Yes, so thank you, and thank you to the user group for this opportunity. At what Phocas can bring to an organization, whether you're a sales-driven organization, a service-based organization, you've got a lot of data, and Exo is a great place for collecting a lot of information. But I'm sure a lot of you have had frustrations in the past in getting that data, not just getting data in reports, but being able to use the data that you're actually capturing. And that's where a tool like Phocas can actually really extend what you're able to use Exo within your business to do, to really understand what else, what's your data trying to tell you, and just being able to not only use that whether you're very technical, but also regardless of who you are in the organization, being able to use that data. So as opposed to just doing a more of just a demo of what Phocas can do, today we're going to look at it more in the eyes of maybe a persona, someone like a salesperson within an organization, in this case, a sales manager. And quite often what we've seen over the years is that there are a lot of common questions that come up within organizations, and these are just some that I've kind of picked on at the moment just to highlight. So things we're going to have a look at is budgets. Everyone's got a budget, or should have a budget. How are you tracking against that budget? And you might have a question like, well, we didn't set a very high budget, you know, we're unsure about COVID, but we're still not really getting there, and maybe we want to know why. So we'll dive into that. Something else that we've also seen a lot of disruption in supply chains. So and we want to really make sure that we're holding the right products at the right time, and we're able to convert those products back into cash if we're a product-based business. So maybe another question for a sales manager could be, stock levels are too high of some particular products. We need to actually target those that had been purchasing it in the past. So just as I'm reading these, I just think if you have these situations in your organization and how you might go about answering those. If we've also got time to show you some analytics around, well, if there's some products slip, you know, things are slipping, what's driving that slip, and how are you able to answer that question maybe for the GM or the MD of the business? And how can you get a better handle on our finances or our expenses? So while we're talking about sales, often at a management level, there is also a requirement for sales teams to be responsible, have some level of responsibility for more than just new business coming in. They might also be charged with making sure they don't blow the budget from a finance or expense perspective. And maybe what we need, we're going to finish off by looking at a bit of budgeting and forecasting, and how we've got actually some tools in our toolkit now that allows us to budget, not just for sales, but have the sales team contribute to our financial budget. So we've really got a harmonized business looking at everything. All right, that's probably enough from a slide perspective. Let's actually jump in and show you around. And if you do have questions as we're going through, please feel free to enter them into the chat. Into the Q&A. So those that haven't seen Phocas before, Phocas is a cloud-based BI tool. We're able to work with Exo. We have a very large number of Exo customers, but we are also a multi-source system. So if you have another business that is on another system, or you've got data in other sources that don't make it into Exo, Phocas is still able to provide you with an analytics platform to be able to use those. Now, Phocas really breaks into two parts. There's the visualization, like you can see here, that allows us to dashboard our data and show it to different people. There's a lot of governance built into this product, so we can govern who can see what. So a sales rep may only see their data, a branch manager may only see the branch. You've got really quite a lot of granular control over what people can see and do. But those questions I had in the slide deck, let's get into some of those. So the first question really centered around budgets. You know, we're off budget. We're not doing as well as maybe what we hoped. And I've just got some trend lines here where we're looking at what's the trend look like for sales versus budget, or maybe what is the variance this year versus last year, or the previous month, or the current month. And the current month, it looks like we're moving in the right direction, but some of these previous periods are still a little bit off. And I might just want to know more. And what Phocas allows us to do is, instead of just going from a very high level view of here's a pretty chart, straight down into some transactions where we might be trying to find a needle in a haystack, we're really able to use Phocas as a nice in-between to perform some analytical questions on what we're seeing. So with the budgets, usually budgets center around reps, which reps are off. So we can actually see, even just by scanning my eye down, that poor Chris here isn't doing so well, and he's being kind of followed by Walt here. So these guys are really contributing quite a lot of variance this year compared to last. So they're definitely, off budget. And we might want to just ask more questions. Maybe we budget at a product group level. And the real standout in this case is the illumination product. So we might want to drill into that as well. Now, we might stop at this point and go, well, these guys are definitely off budget for the previous month. How are they going against the same time last year? So we can actually drill in and go, well, you know what? They're even, while not too far off, they are still off. So which of our customers do we need to worry about? So if you had to think about maybe how many reports you might be running now to be able to answer a simple question like, where are we off budget? Hopefully what you're seeing in this first example here is the easy ability to move around and ask questions and understand which customers are your biggest concerns. So that's looking at budget, and something that, you know, a sales manager really needs to stay on top of. But what about looking for opportunities or helping other parts of the business convey where we might be overstocked with items? So maybe some inventory highlights might be of interest. So stock cover, it's this at the moment, I'd be probably pretty happy with about 10 weeks worth of stock, but I might not be happy when I dive into the details of it that some of these are my worst offenders, where I've actually got 2,000 weeks of stock. Thank goodness this is demo data. But where we also not only just overstocked from an inventory level, that question of, well, who'd been buying it in the past, and who do we maybe need to talk to? So once again, we can actually drill through these to ask that question. It's all good and well to know that we're overstocked, but if we need to start moving this product, understanding the last people to buy it and in what value they'd actually spent on it is going to give us a opportunity to re-engage with some of these customers, really just in a few clicks, to try and talk to them about purchasing a product, maybe a discounts in order to get them to buy it. But we know who we need to talk to bring our stock levels back, or get some of this dead stock out of our warehouses. And what I'm showing you here is how fast and easy an end user is able to move around data. Now, also in that point in the slide deck, we're also talking about not just sales or inventory, but actually financial information. What financial information do we think is important for a sales manager to be looking at? So while we're asking them to make more sales, we could also be asking them to make sure they're staying on top of their budgets. So the sales team in head office might have some explaining to do, given that they're $270,000 over what we expect them to be. So being able to once again drill in and ask those additional questions. But what I really did want to spend the last few minutes talking to you about is that while Phocas, if any of you have seen Phocas before, we've always usually spoken about, you know, ease of use and getting access to your data and some of those examples we've just gone through. But recently, we've also added in the ability to do budgets and forecasts within the product. And this is quite a significant part of a pain that a lot of our customers actually have. They have this challenge of a lot of spreadsheets and a lot of people involved in their budget process. And it's something that nobody looks forward to. It's not managed particularly well. And they're not agile enough for the times we find ourselves in. So that's why we've developed this tool. And what you can see here is a financial statement view, in this case, a profit and loss view of my business. I can see my revenue and my COGS, my GP, expenses, etc. And we're able to actually start to change our budget numbers within this tool. So while this might be our last year actuals or last year's budget, we might want to come in and start making some changes. Now, as a finance person or a sales manager, I might be the one making those changes, or I could be asking somebody else to actually make that change. So there's a whole workflow function built in here to allow us to control who can do what. Now, when it comes to actually budgeting revenue, a lot of people might look at last year's actuals and say, well, I'd like to grow it by 10%. So they can actually come in and actually apply a simple blanket rule of saying, I'd like to add 10% overall to my budget. It's pretty quick and easy to do. It'll pick up all the previous peaks and troughs of the previous period, allowing us to do a very simple budget. But maybe that's a bit too simple. So while we might at this division budget this way, maybe with some of our other divisions, maybe like my UK business, I need to be a little bit more particular. So what you'll notice here is I can't actually change these numbers, but I've got another tab here that is going to allow me to change those numbers. Now, just like the sales database that we were just looking at, where we could see our product sales, we can actually introduce that into our budget process. In this case, I've actually got it by sales rep. So instead of just having a single line for sales, I can actually budget by rep. I could even assign this off to the reps for them to put in their budgets or forecasts for future periods. And they can write formulas just like you can in Excel. They can use that spread feature like I did before, but we're able to actually get people to contribute to the budget at a level that makes sense to them. So being able to assign this off to all of those individuals to get them to put their budget numbers in mean that the finance team get the budget that they desire. It's much more accurate. It's been developed by looking at the actual, at the numbers, or being able to look at it by product. So we can add products into here as well if we need to. But when the sales team have done all this work and they've built their budgets, and the finance team are happy they've got their budgets, we can actually publish this back into sales as well, meaning that the sales team's work isn't just for the finance team. Now the sales team have the same budget as the finance team. So you're actually working to a single version of truth, that both teams have an agreed revenue target that they're both working towards. The sales team budget will have a bit more detail because it was captured at a product group or a sales rep level or customer level. And the finance team aren't too bothered about that level of detail. They just see that top level line that is going to allow them to adjust the COGS or adjust the expenses in accordance to that budget. So in summary, Phocas is very much about using the data that you're already capturing wherever you happen to be capturing it, allowing you to budget or to bring in other data like inventory to have a very single source of truth across your business that is going to allow the entire business to do everything that they need to do from a reporting or analytics perspective in a very governed and controlled way. So I think that's about my time. If you do have any questions, please feel free to enter them into the Q&A box, and we'll be around at the end to answer those questions. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all. Back to you, Grant.